Forecasting the weather takes preparation. So does buying a home. Hello, everyone. I'm meteorologist Chris Sowers, and welcome to Weichert Realtors in Washington Township, the power of yellow. Come join us and experience the full service advantage of our yellow team. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing, we've got everything you need under one roof. Real estate, title services, mortgages, and insurance. One team, one trusted name, one-stop shopping for all your real estate needs. Weichert Realtors in Washington Township, the bright choice. All right, what's going on? What's going on, everybody? Good Wednesday evening. Hope you guys had a great day. I had an insanely busy day. I couldn't keep up. I had a gazillion things to do. I had a list, and I probably knocked out, I'm going to say 80% of it, 75% of it. So I put a nice big dent in what I was supposed to get done, but there's still stuff going on that I need to get done. So we're getting there. What I was doing was, from our conversation that we had yesterday, remember we were talking about, watches and warnings and radar upgrades and things like that. So I asked a question here, and I was like, okay, well, how about I do a list of all the upgrades since, Doppler radar came into B, okay? And here's what it says. Ready? So, and the reason why I bring this up is because, there were a couple of people that were saying, it seems like everything's, blown out of proportion to, nowadays, not today, but nowadays, and I don't remember all these warnings back in the day. Well, so here's a timeline on how all of this went down. So, and this is why. Remember that the Doppler radar wasn't actually installed across the country in the National Weather Service offices. Somewhere it was between 93 and like 96, okay? Then and only then, that's when we were able to start seeing wind in the radar. So prior to that, you can't really pop, tornado warnings because you can't really see the wind. All you can see is how heavy the rain's coming down, and that's it. So then, I'm also navigating buttons here too. So first comes the Doppler radar, WSR-88D. That's the original NexRad system, brought Doppler velocity into the network. Now we can track winds, okay? It depends on what part of the country you were in, either 93 to 97. That was the time frame in which Doppler radar became available to local National Weather Service offices across the country. They had to install it. They had to get everything going. So, that was the 4-year window where it all becomes available. Then, the other big one was dual polarization. That comes out around 2011, 2012. This was probably the biggest scientific upgrade to the WSR-88D. Radar transmits both horizontal and vertical. All right, and part of the benefit to that is now you can see hail cores. You can see exactly what kind of precip is coming. Like big chunks. Maybe you're again seeing the ice, and you're also seeing areas that could produce flash flooding. So it was really just a tremendous upgrade. Then you had the super resolution, which dramatically improved the radar's spatial resolution. It allows forecasters to see much finer storm structures, particularly important for mesocyclones, tornado signatures, outflow boundaries, which you clearly see. I mean, how many times during my severe weather coverage am I pointing the boundaries out? You can see them clear as day now. And precipitation structures. Then came the AVSET, the AVSET, Automated Volume Scan Evolution and Termination. So this is the 4th upgrade. Now the radar doesn't necessarily have to complete every elevation angle if there's little usage echo at higher levels. It can terminate the volume early and start another one. This improves the frequency of updated data. Then the sales. This was the other big one. Supplemental adaptive intra-volume low-level scan. That's a mouthful, okay? It adds an additional low-level scan during the volume scan. So now you don't have one, you have 2. All right, it's extremely valuable for rapidly evolving severe storms and tornadoes, okay? Then you had another one, the meso sales, and I'm not going to read every one to you. Then you had another one, the improved volume coverage patterns, VCPs, okay? Then you had the improved velocity, I don't know how to even pronounce this word, so I'm just going to skip over it. Then you had the improved spectrum width, Then you had the enhanced VAD wind profile. Then you had the improved clutter mitigation. Then you had the radial noise filtering. Then you had the storm-based advanced PRF techniques. Then you had, I mean, it just goes on and on and on. There's at least, hold on, there's at least 1, 2, 3, there's at least 3 more. So that's where we started. We started from just a radar that could only see precip to 16 or 17 upgrades later. That's where we are now. So, yes, you're right. I don't ever remember this many warnings when I was a kid, because we didn't have them when you were a kid, because we didn't have this technology when you were a kid. You know what I mean? So, it does, again, I'm not poo-pooing on climate change, okay? But what I'm saying is, you got to be real. There's a fine line here, right? And I've always been, with the climate change, it's one of the things that I just get really, really aggravated with when there's a lot of, when you're talking about climate change, just make sure that if you're going to put a point out there, make sure there's no way out of it, okay? Or in other words, like this is a perfect example. If you're going to tell me, okay, it's climate change because we have a lot more tornado and severe thunderstorm warnings now than we did back in the early 80s. Okay, well, I just told you why, okay? So that's the only thing. And I just, sometimes with the climate change, I feel like it gets thrown out there for everything. Oh my gosh, the dew points are in the upper 70s today. I don't ever remember this when I was a kid. It's got to be climate change. That's all I hear anymore. And so it just, but you saw there were a total, how many? Because they're numbered. 17 upgrades to the radar since 97. 17. And there's more coming. I remember having a conversation with one of the workers there, Sarah, at the National, I think it was Sarah at the National Weather Service in Mount Holly. And maybe it wasn't Sarah. I was talking to somebody there, and they said another one's coming soon. So, I mean, as the technology becomes more and more advanced, you're going to see things now that you couldn't even dream about seeing way back in the day. Okay? The goal is to keep the existing WSR 88D network operational into 2030 and beyond, and they're just going to keep it rolling, as many upgrades as they can. But I think about, what's funny is I think about when I first started in this career was back in, what was it? It was 2000, October of 2000. That's when I got hired at Channel 6 in Philadelphia. And I remember it was my job to kind of get us away from the magnets, right? And then move us into the graphics world, I guess you could say, with what was it's IBM now, I forget the name of it back then, WSI, graphics system, and, and the radar and everything like that. And so I just think about what it was like when I first started, where we are now, and it's like, wow. I mean, yes, it's been 26 years, it's been 2.5 decades, but still, it's leaps and bounds. I mean, I'm 50 years old. I can't even imagine by the time I'm 60 what the technology we're going to have at our fingertips. I mean, just looking at where we've come already, it's just really, really incredible. Oh, and there's another one. Norma, wow, Norma, that's the scary thing. Norma says, okay, how will AI factor into weather forecasting? Yeah, that's the $1 million question. That was one of the things that we were all talking about, actually. I'm going to say probably about a year and a half ago, or a year ago, right when AI started, whenever AI really started coming onto the scene, because remember, the European model, which is widely regarded as even today, it's still widely regarded as the most accurate forecast model out there, and now it has an AI. All right, so now there's the European model's ensemble package, and the European AI. GFS has it, and so do numerous others. So, again, the way the AI models work, so when you take, for example, let's say you take the European model. The European model has this big physical equation among other things like surface observations, and all this stuff gets put into like this big equation, okay? And then boom, physics involved, and boom, and then spits out a solution, and then you run with it, okay? AI doesn't have any of that. AI is supposed to run off of learning, okay? So it learns. So as the years go by, it's supposed to recognize what it's already seen. And we're not just talking about surface, but remember what we were talking about yesterday, the forecast cone. You start aloft, all right? As a forecaster, you're always looking at the upper levels first, and then you work your way down to the surface. That's a complete forecast. That's how you put a forecast together. Well, AI is doing that in the blink of an eye, in the snap of a finger. Okay, and so what AI is supposed to do, for me, for example, depending on how complicated of a situation we were in, it might take me a half hour, 40 minutes to really dissect everything. The AI will do it like that. And so it's dissecting everything, and it's supposed to remember what it has seen before, given the pattern across the entire globe. And then it comes up with a solution, and then it prints it out, and then that's what we see. So AI, given that it's still pretty new right now, what's it going to be like, 5 years, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Who knows? Let's see. Jody says, I totally thought you were in your mid-30s. Jody, you're my girl. Thank you for saying that. I used to be in my mid-30s. Yeah, about, 15 years ago. Thank you. I appreciate that. No, I turned 50. October is my birthday, so I'm about to be 51. Oh, the number is just... Birthdays didn't bother me until about maybe 5 years ago. Nah, and even then, I would say 48. 48 and 49 is when it started bothering me. I didn't like 50. I mean, I'm fine with it now, but you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm going to like when the birthday candle says 51 on the cake. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's all going by so fast. You know what I mean? And, that's the one thing I've always said here, and that's, why I've made some of the decisions that I've made in my career and in my life. Because, yes, you can have all the money in the world. Yes, you can have a huge house, beautiful cars, all this wonderful stuff. But the one thing that you will not have a lot of and you're never going to get back is time. And, before you know it, you're 60 years old. Before you know it, your kids are moved out of the house. Before you know it, you know what I mean? It's just, and so that's kind of what has helped steer me in some of the decisions that I've made with my career and just my life in general. I'm not missing a thing. I can promise you right now, I'm not missing a thing with Paige's life. I want to make sure I'm there for everything. Okay. Nicole says I'm only 10 years older than you. You're not making me feel any better, Nicole. Linda says I'll be 64 in October. October what? I'm October 7. What are you? So you're a Libra too then. Let's see. Chris, I'll be 70 at the end of the month. All right, so you're in August. Okay. Good. Well, happy birthday. That's right around the corner. And Lisa, oh man, did I just open up a can of worms? Now I got everybody. Wait until you get to be my age. And, this and that. Well, hey, look, I'm not that far from being your age. You know what I mean? All right, let's, man, I stirred up a hornet's nest on the chat. Okay. October 8th. Yeah, I'm the 7th. You're right around, you're the very next day. Case, October 12th. Man, we got a lot of Libras in the house. Okay. I'm going to move away from everybody's... I wish you could see the chat right now. All right, let's go over to the radar. And, well, what we have going on here is, yes, the thunderstorms popped up. Remember, actually, let's go to this real quick, okay? Remember what the SPC did earlier today. They put that level 1 up for the dark shaded green, which includes, let's say, the Delaware River, north and west. Okay, so, for example, Harrisburg, Scranton was in it. Williamsport is in it. The Finger Lakes are in it. Bradford in western Pennsylvania is in it. The northern suburbs of Pittsburgh, the northern suburbs of Johnstown, Altoona, State College, Erie. All of those areas were in it. And then as we flip it over to the radar, okay, it's not that far off. It looks pretty good. Remember, if you tuned into my dungeon at 7:30 this morning, I explained how even though we're in it, our thunderstorm threat really isn't going to happen until once the sun goes down. And you can clearly see there's not much going on. You do have that cluster out there crossing right over the Ohio-Pennsylvania state line. That's going to be pushing east. There's probably going to be a little bit more of a redevelopment on the front end of that as it gets closer to State College. That's going to be your weather tonight. How much we get, how many thunderstorms, how intense they are, there's still a little bit of a question mark to that. But, a lot of times when the sun goes down, we lose the heating of the sun, we lose the energy, and the storms will weaken. But it's a decent, there's some energy in the middle levels, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So it's got support, even though the sun will go down, and, these storms will be rumbling through at that point. There is some mid-level support here. So, yes, they're probably going to be weaker than they were if it were 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon, but some of these could still pack quite a punch with maybe winds up to 55 or 60, and I guarantee you're probably going to get some very loud claps of thunder in the middle of the night. So get ready for that. Just remember, all right, if it's 1 o'clock in the morning and you're just out like a light, right? You're just out, and then all of a sudden you hear this crazy rumble, right? It just startles you, it wakes you up. It's no one's breaking into your house, okay? Well, I hope not. It's thunder. You're probably going to hear loud claps of thunder, okay, as these storms come through. Again, not everybody's going to see them. But those of you that do, you know, this is probably going to be a quick downpour and a lot of lightning and loud claps of thunder. Okay? All right, and who has texted me? Man, my text messaging is going off. It's my brother. My brother's always texting me these videos. I guess they're on TikTok. And it's just, they're these funny videos. Oh, my gosh. I like the ones with the pets. I don't know if you've seen them. Like, there's this one where this lady is singing. And she takes her dog because her dog gives her these funny looks. And she'll be singing like, I can't live if it is. And it's really bad, like really, really bad. And you'll see the dog going like this, you know, with the head and rolling the eyes. I mean, it is hysterical, some of these videos. And Gary's always sending them to me. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, here is a look at the HRRR. This is a very high-resolution forecast model, 3K. And, all right, so clearly, now this is the only one I can really go with because at the moment, because the other one that I wanted, the RRFS, it hasn't really updated today. I don't know what's going on with it. But here's a look at what that one was showing earlier, okay? Didn't show anything today, which we didn't have anything today. And then it does show a couple of these cells. See this? Coming in tonight. Now, that's late. That's really, really late. Okay, so that's like, what, 2 o'clock in the morning? Let me go back. I got to count this. This is in Zulu time. All right, so that 0Z is 8, 01 is 9, 10, 11, 12. That's 1 in the morning right there. Okay, that's 2 in the morning. That's a big thunderstorm for 2 o'clock in the morning. All right, that's Allentown stretching southwestward into Pottstown and Boyertown. Fleetwood's getting hit pretty good. It's pulling away from Reading. Quakertown's getting hit pretty good. You've got another cell there in southern Lancaster County. Everything's pushing to the east. I mean, look at this. That's really, really impressive for so late at night. And then it crosses over the Delaware River. All right, here we are. Right around Mount Holly. Let's see, that was 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning? I mean, those are big, big storms. So assuming for a second that's correct, yeah, there's going to be some loud claps of thunder tonight and some pretty big downpours. But what will happen, too, is once that pushes through, it kind of, believe it or not, I mean, it was hot today. We had highs in the upper 80s again, at least where I am. I didn't see the official number in Philadelphia, but it was really, really warm, okay? The humidity wasn't bad, though. Tomorrow, the humidity actually increases a little bit, and then, boom, we get into Friday, and the whole thing, matter of fact, let me show you guys. I did load that one, too. Here it is, okay? So let me go back to, here's tomorrow. All right, this is early in the morning, okay? You can see the dew points are in the upper 60s, low 70s. This is 7, 8 o'clock. There's 9, there's 10. All right, and so we're hanging out in the upper 60s. Then look at how it drops. See how it drops later in the day? And then that sets the stage for the weekend. Here's Friday. All right, look at this, Friday afternoon right here. Look at that. Oh, man. Look at that. According to this model, and I've got no reason to doubt this. It's had a very hot hand lately. According to this model, tomorrow, this same time, wait, it's Wednesday. Friday, this same time, we have dew points in the 50s. I mean, it'll feel fantastic. I mean, that's going to be really, really nice. Really nice. Really nice. So what I suggest everybody do is, maybe eat outdoors Friday and just enjoy it. I mean, it is the dog days, and you can clearly remember how awful it felt just yesterday, I think, right? It's just been terrible. That's a nice little break, okay? And then as you look at the temperatures, let's go back. I'll start with tomorrow morning. Temperatures are in the 60s, all right? Friday morning, mid-60s. Saturday morning, low 60s. We lost the 50s, all right? Remember the blue? There was a lot of blue on this map 2 days ago. And every passing run, it's getting a little bit milder. But look, 60 or 61, even though it's not 54, it's still really nice, okay? And so that's your lows. Now, obviously, the urban areas, all right, the urban heat island, which is the city, is obviously going to be warmer. So temperatures in the city will probably only bottom out around 67 or 68. Surrounding suburbs is more like 60 or 61. That's a nice difference. Sunday morning, same general idea, maybe a touch milder, but that's it. And then as we get into next week, you can see the temperatures are hanging out in the mid to upper 60s. I wanted to show you the highs here. All right, take a look at Saturday. Here's a look at the high temperatures. Saturday, we've got low to mid 80s. All right, and again, these numbers have come up a little bit too. They were much lower just 2 days ago, but it's still not bad. We can still handle 84 or 85, right? Especially when there's no humidity. All right, so that's Saturday, and that's Sunday. You know what I wanted to do while I've got you guys on here? Let's take a look at that thunderstorm thread on Sunday. I meant to load that up, and I didn't. Okay, so let's see. Let's go back right here. All right, here's Friday. Pretty good shit. Ooh, look at that sneaky thing coming in here. Get that out of here. All right, I'll be going fishing on Friday around the Delaware Bay. You're heading out in Fortescue, or, you got some boats that you can take out in Cape May. Be getting out on the Delaware Bay. This thing is suggesting that there could be some showers and storms for the first part of the afternoon. It'll clear quick, but it's showing that there could be some weather out there Friday on the bay. Saturday looks great. All right, usually that light shade of green, I just brush that off. That's usually nothing. And then Sunday, we do have this coming in late. All right, that is one thing that I've been seeing for several days now. I'm trying to be optimistic about this, and I'm going to see if we can hold most of this off until nightfall, but it's been pretty consistent here. So that's 8 o'clock in the morning. That's 11 o'clock in the morning. That's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Now, the light green, again, don't pay too much attention to the light green. It's the darker stuff. That's 5. Yeah. That's 8. That's 11. So there's probably going to be, some thunderstorms later in the day on Sunday. All right. What do we got here? No humidity all next week would be not. Well, you might get a couple days next week where you have no humidity. I think Phillies are a nasty thunderstorm. Steven, I got to tell you, I feel, you know what, I can't. I was just going to say a couple things and I can't, because I do like the Phillies. The Phillies have always been my team. Actually, it's the Phillies and the St. Louis Cardinals. I liked them both since I was a kid. And, the more and more I see the Phillies play, can I say this? I don't think they're making the playoffs. I really don't. With the way they're playing right now, I don't think they're even going to make the playoffs. When you see the schedule that they have next month, it's ridiculous. I mean, they play every hard team you can. There's not a lot of hard teams out there this year, okay? It almost feels like the National League the American League is completely watered down, except for the Yankees and the Tampa Bay Rays. The rest of them stink. But, the NL's got some good teams. And during the month of September, the Phillies play every one of them. And it's just like, whoa. It's like, wow. If they keep playing like this, I'm telling you right now, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make the playoffs. There's just too many teams. Let me look at the standings right now. There's too many teams that are bunched in the wild card spot right now. You have, all right, so in the NL, your top 3, your division leaders right now are Atlanta, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Then your wild cards are the Cubs. If the playoffs started today, Philly wouldn't be in it. So you have your 3 division winners, Milwaukee, Dodgers, Atlanta, and then here come your wild cards, the Cubs, the Padres, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then it's Philly. All right? And then Miami's only 2. Oh, Miami stinks. I can't put them in it. I was going to say Miami's only 2 games out, but if it's between us and Miami, we smoke Miami, so I'm not even sweating them. But, jeez. Phillies 5-5 in their last 5 games. Whew. Man. We got into sports again. All right, let's talk about let me show you the tropics here real quick. So, this is another thing that gets my blood boiling. You guys ready for this? Let me make sure you can see this. You can see it. You see that crystal ball out there in the middle of nowhere in the Atlantic? All right, you guys ready for a rant? Do you want to hear a rant? Let me know in the comment section. Do you guys want to hear me rant? All right, because you guys hear me rant quite a bit when I don't agree with something when it comes to the weather, right? um, oh, all right. This is another thing that I can't stand when it comes to climate change. I don't mind if you got 30 storms, right, that you've named, and normal, yeah, everyone's like, yep, ran on, do it. All right. If you got a season, and there's been quite a few of them over the last 10 years that have been very, very active. I mean, hurricane here, hurricane there, tropical storm here, tropical storm. I mean, yeah. But what most people don't realize is, and it doesn't really get said, for whatever reason, the national media doesn't tell you this. The local news stations don't really ever get into the one because they're limited with time. So I can't, I don't want to, but, there were changes with how the National Hurricane Center started naming these storms. So naturally, you're going to start having more storms to begin with. But look, this thing right here, Cristobal, has no business being named. No business at all. It's in the middle of nowhere. It's poorly organized. They don't even send in the hurricane hunters to measure the winds. They estimate by looking at the way that the cloud structure is. They're going to estimate, and they're going to say, okay, this looks like a tropical storm to me with 45-mile-an-hour winds, okay, or 40-mile-an-hour sustained winds. Okay, that's what they do when they're that far out in the, because look, it's not going to bother anybody. Why are you going to waste the money on fuel flying the WC-130s into it? So they don't. I forget there's a name to this process. They look at the satellite, because we've got satellite, you can't hide in this world anymore. There's satellites everywhere. So they get the satellite data, they visually observe it, and then they look at it and they say, okay, this looks like a tropical storm. That's what they do. This thing is so poorly organized, but here it is. Now it's another named storm. So now we've had 3 named storms. Okay, this is one of them. The A storm also had no business being named. None. So now, in a year that is supposed to be below normal, let's just say the tropics get hot. I mean, we're getting close to the peak of the hurricane season. Let's say they get pretty hot over the next month, and you're naming maybe 6 or 7 storms. Okay, well, now all of a sudden, you're pretty close to, a normal season, or you're pretty close to the numbers that you had projected, 3 months ago, 4 months ago, when you came out with your hurricane predictions. All right, and so what bothers me is, look, you're allowed to be wrong. All right, it's not, what's the way to put this? Okay, it's math. It's math. It's weather. Okay, that's probably the easiest way to put it. It changes. It's never going to be perfect. You're never going to hit the forecast dead on, consistently. It's weather. All right. So if you put out a forecast for 12 named storms, don't start naming every junk storm out here to get to your number. That's where, and then tell me at the end of the year that this is all climate change, because look at how many named storms that we had. Okay, that's where I get aggravated. Okay, I'm going to leave it at that. I'm in a mood today. So it just, again, this thing, let me see if I can pull up the satellite while you guys are looking at this here. Let's see. I mean, wait till you see this thing. Eastern United States. Oh, I can't spell either. There it is. Goes. Let's see if I can pull this up. I can't get that far out. I know there's another one somewhere. It's a pretty neat shot, though. Let's try another one. I'll try one more here. Eastern. Let's put Atlantic. I thought I had it bookmarked, and I don't. Oh, Tropical Tidbits has that. All right, so all right, this is in the MDR Cristobal. Let's see what, okay, there it is. Now, okay. Again, okay. Now, do you see where the rotation is? Where do your eyes go immediately? They go to that big blob, right? That big blob of orange and red. Do you know where the center of circulation is? It's about 130 miles to the northwest. It's exposed. There's no clouds in the center of the storm. Do you see where it is? I wish I had a telestrator because I can't circle it. I wish I could. But, oh, wait. You know what? Maybe I can do this with my... do you see it there? Can you see my cursor there? Hold on. I'm looking on it. There's a little bit of a delay. I'm looking on the computer to see if you can see my cursor. You can't. Darn. Okay. So take a look at that big blob. All right, right where that big blob is. And then go, I don't know, maybe an inch. Maybe an inch to an inch and a half off to the upper left. And that's where the actual center of the storm is. And this is why I get angry. This is why I get very upset. This thing had no business. It had a flare-up of thunderstorms. Okay? That's what it had. Big deal. All right? We get thunderstorms with winds gusting to 60 and 50 all the time here. Okay? That thing had no business. No business being named. And then there they go again. It's ridiculous. So, again, and look, and I'm fine with it. I'm absolutely fine with it. Just don't try and tell me it's climate change at the end of the year because you have more named storms than what you were projecting. That's all I'm saying. Let's see. We've got this right here. So watch. This is how bad this is. Look at the forecast modeling. It's there, right? According to the National Hurricane Center, it's there. Look towards the top, all right? It doesn't even see it. It doesn't even see it, the models. Okay? It's just crazy. And there it is. Oh, let's go over to the radar again real quick. We'll end with this. All right. So here we go. We got some thunderstorms off to the northwest. Okay, and what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to watch this closely. Now, if this were to hold together and get in here, it's going to be late. It's actually probably going to be after midnight. All right, it's 8 o'clock now. I would think somewhere between maybe midnight and 2 from northwest to southeast. So what I would expect out of this, it's going to be probably broken. It's not going to be like a full-blown line coming through here, okay? It's going to be probably a broken line, a thunderstorm here, a thunderstorm there, sweeps through. Winds up to maybe 50 miles per hour. Maybe in some cases you do get a warning. Maybe you get something a little bit stronger. Okay. Lightning, you're probably going to get quite a bit of lightning and loud claps of thunder. Okay, that's probably what you're going to get. Now, it isn't going to last long. Notice the storms are moving pretty good. Okay. So I don't expect, if you're one of the unlucky ones that get a storm to wake you up in the middle of the night, I don't expect it to last in one particular area very long. The storms are moving pretty good. All right, so it should be in and out. It's not going to stick around and smell the roses. And then as we get into tomorrow should be a decent day with humidity dropping later in the day. Okay, that's going to do it for me. I have no more rants. Today. But, you know, the good thing about me is I don't work for a television station anymore. I don't have to. You know what I mean? I don't have to worry about, you know, an agenda or anything like that. I'm going to tell you exactly what I see. And that's exactly what I see, and that's exactly what I've experienced over the last 26 years. So I'm going to tell you. This is my own digital weather platform, and I'm going to tell you exactly how I see it. Okay? And this is some of the stuff that I've noticed over the last 15 years or so, and it just aggravates me. It really does. Okay, you guys take care. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning at 7:30. All right, have a good night.